I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Yo, what's good my bros, what's poppin'? Hope you guys are doing well, doing blessed, having a good day, having a good week. Marlon Vera taking on Cory Sandhagen. This is a great main event. As always guys, I'm going to revisit the bets that I made from last week. Then I'm going to revisit your bets on MoneyCity. As for the bets that I personally made, I did go 60%. So yeah, still some profit, just over half a unit profit. But yeah, nice bounce back week from Marab and Yan. That card wasn't too good. The London card, nice card. Good card. Now taking a look at all of the MoneyCity comments, guys, you dusted the bookie, and that's really what this channel is all about. You know, we're breaking down fights, we're making reads, we're making picks, we're trying to get the money. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're all about. And on the Marab versus Yang card, like 95% of the MoneyCity comments just got dusted. But that's really not the case this time round. You know, so many people dusted the bookie. And you love to see that. You know, take a look on screen guys. These comments are good comments. These are good bets. So yeah, if you guys want to pause the video and check these comments, you can do that. But yeah, when there's this many MoneyCity comments, the only way to honour the MoneyCity champions is to spark the blunt. As always my bros, that's money. Let's go again. Let's go. Alright guys, so first matchup on this card, we've got Hailey Cowan taking on Tamires Vidal. Now Tamires Vidal had a nice UFC debut, you know, a nice TKO stoppage. For anyone that missed that matchup, she basically hit Ramona Pascal with a really nice switch knee to the midsection and got a nice TKO stoppage. Now the opponent Hailey Cowan was supposed to fight Perez, but that matchup didn't happen. She's now scheduled to fight Tamires Vidal. When she was scheduled to fight Perez, I went back and watched her whole LFA career. Essentially guys, I do believe the grappling ability of Hailey Cowan is going to be the difference in this matchup. You know, you can go back and look at the fight where Tamires Vidal fought against Perez, which was who Hailey Cowan was supposed to fight. And what happened in this matchup is Tamires Vidal got massively outgrappled. But guys, unfortunate for Perez, she did hit Tamires Vidal with an illegal knee. And that's where she got disqualified. So if it wasn't for the illegal knee, Tamires Vidal would have lost that matchup. And I was going to take Hailey Cowan to outgrapple Perez, or to, you know, push her against the fence, do well in the clinch. I did take Hailey Cowan on her Contender Series matchup, and she done okay there. I think she was a slight underdog. But yeah guys, this is you know, somewhat of a competitive matchup. I just believe the grappling ability of Hailey Cowan would be the difference. There is one weakness of Hailey that I have noticed. When she takes her opponents to the mat, she kind of finds herself defending off arm bars. So I look for that if she does take Tamires Vidal to the mat. But yeah, the difference in this matchup, in my opinion, would be the grappling, and that's why I'm going to side with Hailey to win this matchup. Alright guys, next matchup, we've got Vinicius Salvador taking on Victor Altamirano. This is a good matchup. Now guys, it's important to go back and rewatch as much tape as you can on all of these fights, because your memory can kind of trick you. Initially, I was thinking Vinicius Salvador is like a lock, a really good bet. But then I went back and rewatched a little bit of tape, specifically the Contender Series fight that Vinicius had, and yeah, my memory did trick me, because when I was watching that Contender Series fight, Vinicius Salvador was getting hit. You know, Shannon Ross was really finding the target. And when you look at the fight result, you do see a TKO stoppage for Vinicius Salvador against Shannon Ross, but it's the performance itself that's more important than the actual fight result. You know what I'm saying? And Vinicius Salvador did get hit a lot in that matchup. You know, guys, don't get me wrong. Vinicius Salvador is pretty slick. You know, the shoulders are rolling. He looks pretty slick on the feet, but he did get hit a lot by Shannon Ross. Then I went and watched tape on Victor Altamirano, and this guy's kind of similar to Vinicius Salvador. You know, there's a lot of footwork, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of motion. And to be honest, guys, Victor Altamirano, this guy's going to throw down. You know what I'm saying? Go watch tape. This guy's ready for a fight. He's ready for a scrap. He does potentially have the grappling advantage. You know, if he wants to take Vinicius Salvador down to the mat when the fight's close, that could be an advantage for Victor Altamirano. You know, vicious ground and pound against Daniel Da Silva, but Daniel Da Silva's not really someone I rate too highly. And I think most of us would agree with that. I think most of us would agree that Shannon Ross is also someone that we don't rate too highly, and he was connecting against Vinicius Salvador. So yeah, essentially these are two nasty South Americans. You know, these two guys are going to throw down. Both guys are going to find success. And I'm glad I went back and rewatched tape, because after watching tape, I do agree with the bookmaker that it's pretty 50-50. I'm going to stick with my original prediction, and that's going to be Vinicius Salvador, but I'm happy that I didn't lay down the money. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a matchup that I'm not going to bet. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Manuel Torres taking on Trey Ogden. Now guys, this is interesting because Trey Ogden, I can't get a read. I cannot get a read on Trey Ogden. You know, his UFC debut, I tried to bet on Trey and he got smacked with so many calf kicks by Jordan Levitt. You know, it's pretty infuriating to watch Trey Ogden get kicked in that matchup, you know, over and over. It's like, come on man, check those. Or if you're not going to check the kicks, at least take away the space that Jordan wants to kick you in, you know what I'm saying? Crowd the kick up. But that's something Trey Ogden couldn't do in his UFC debut, and he did lose to Jordan Levitt. Now guys, I tried to bet against Trey Ogden when he fought Daniel Zalhuba, and again, I can't get a read. I can't get the right prediction. Now Trey Ogden is the kick up. Now he's finding success, you know, landing all these calf kicks against Daniel Zalhuba when I think Daniel Zalhuba is the better striker. So yeah, very interesting. Now on the flip side, Manuel Torres, I did bet this guy against Frank Camacho, and he put on a nice masterclass, you know, with the hooks, big hooks. You know, Manuel Torres is somebody that really prefers the hook over the straight punch. My record on Trey Ogden's not good so far. You know, 0-2. I do believe Manuel Torres holds a lot of power on the feet. Guys, the only way I see Trey Ogden being able to win this matchup is kind of just having a higher output than Manuel Torres. Or even if Trey Ogden wants to take Manuel Torres to the mat, you know, to win close rounds, that's potentially something he could do. I'm not sure if I'm going to bet against Trey Ogden yet, but I like Manuel Torres, you know, very good calf kicks, heavy hooks. And guys, you gotta remember, these rounds are being scored based on damage. So even if Trey Ogden is landing more, you know, there could be one damaging hook that wins him the round for Manuel Torres. It's an interesting matchup. I'm not good at predicting Trey Ogden's fights, apparently. He lost to Jordan Levitt as a slight favourite. He cashed as a plus 300 against Daniel Zalhuba. He's now an underdog again. I'm going to pick against Trey Ogden. I'm going to side with Manuel Torres. Powerful hooks, powerful calf kicks. And that could potentially be the result in an interesting matchup. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between CJ Vergara taking on Daniel Da Silva. Now, this is quite an easy prediction to make. You know, this is the fourth fight on this card, and I'd say this is so far the easiest prediction to make. And the reason why this is going to be an easy prediction to make, if you look at Daniel Da Silva, this guy's got the cardio of a man with one lung. You know, imagine having one lung. That's Daniel Da Silva. Boom, right there. And guys, as you can imagine, trying to compete with one lung is going to be very difficult. You know, almost like Nick Null with the one arm. You know, competing in mixed martial arts with one arm. I give you all the credit. It's got to be difficult. You know, essentially, Daniel Da Silva's got terrible cardio. Past round one, he's ready to get TKO'd. Now, on the flip side, CJ Vergara is a dog. I know he got dominated by Tatsu Taira, but the guy's still a dog. You know, this guy was fighting in backyards. He was fighting in school. This guy's a dog. He's not the most technical, but you look at the way he stays in your face. You look at the output. You look at the willingness to trade. And you can see that in the game of CJ Vergara. You know, even against Klidson Rodriguez, he stayed in his face and just made him tired. You know, and I think that's what CJ's going to do to Daniel Da Silva. Now, guys, I do want to mention that with Daniel Da Silva, he is firing very vicious kicks in the first round. You know, the kicks are very vicious. So I do believe there's like a 10% chance or maybe 15% that Daniel Da Silva can land a devastating head kick or a devastating body kick. And if one of those kicks does land, he could get a round one stoppage. But like I said, his cardio is really, really bad. And after he's fired a few of those kicks, he's ready to be TKO'd. You know, those kicks take a lot of energy. And after 5 or 6 of them, he's tired. So guys, for me, I'm going to side with who I believe has a much better chance to win this matchup, and that's going to be CJ Vergara. Alright, so moving into a matchup between Trevin Giles taking on Preston Parsons. Now I believe the prediction to make with this matchup would be to side with the underdog Preston Parsons to win this matchup. And the reason why I'm going to side with the underdog, if you look at Trevin Giles, you know, the cardio's not good. And then you also factor in the damage that he took against Dricus du Plessis and the damage he took against Michael Morales. You know, he got dusted. And guys, I also believe the weight cut to 170 is probably not the way to go. So yeah, the cardio's not good. The damage he's taken is not good. The weight cut is not good. And even looking at his most recent fight, which he did win, you know, the performance isn't good. You look at the last round, very tired. He's on his back for the whole round. You know, he did win the fight, but the nature of the performance, I'm still not impressed. I just think at this point in Trevin's career, it's probably best to, you know, start betting against him. Now on the flip side, when you look at Preston Parsons, this guy's got good grappling. I also think the cardio of Preston Parsons is pretty good. You know, he's willing to fight. He's willing to, you know, show his determination. And that's something you do need at the highest level of mixed martial arts, you know, when the fight's close. Who's willing to go a little bit further to get the win? I think Preston Parsons is that guy to go further in this matchup. You know, Trevin's cardio's not good, whereas Preston's cardio, I do believe, is okay. Trevin can grapple, but so can Preston. I look at Trevin's most recent performance where he did get a win, but the nature of the performance isn't good. You know, I look at Preston Parsons losing to Daniel Rodriguez, but that performance, there's things you can take away and there's things you can be impressed with. See, I do believe that when I look at this matchup, the underdog plus 100 Preston Parsons is maybe the way to go. Alright guys, moving into the next matchup, we've got Steven Peterson taking on Lucas Alexander, and this is quite a difficult prediction to make. And the reason why it's going to be a difficult prediction, on one side you've got Steven Peterson, who's pretty tough. You know, you look at the tape on Steven Peterson and you're not super impressed with the technique or anything like that, but you look at his toughness. You know what I'm saying? Steven Peterson's the type of guy to eat metal for breakfast or headbutt metal for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Just tough as nails. The guy's very tough. And he also has a lot of experience in this matchup. You know, he's got 29 professional fights. Whereas on the flip side, Lucas Alexander's got 10 professional fights. So there is a nice experience difference for Steven Peterson. You know, and that could show in this matchup. Yeah, when I look at Steven Peterson, I'm not super impressed by like technique or anything like that. Now on the flip side, Lucas Alexander only has 10 professional fights, and I would say he's more technical than Steven Peterson. You know, you look at some of the kicks that Lucas Alexander's showing, you know, the technique does seem to be pretty good. But it's a difficult prediction because are you going to side with the experience of Steven Peterson despite him not being the best? Or are you going to side with the technique of Lucas Alexander despite the inexperience? You know, it's really going to be one or the other. It could be Steven Peterson's kind of losing the fight, but then Lucas slows down. And if Lucas gets tired in round 2, Steven might bring him to the mat. You know, he could wrestle the opponent. It really is a difficult prediction to make. I think the better trade, the better offer could be the underdog. And the underdog is Lucas Alexander. So I'm going to side with the guy who's more inexperienced. You know, the calf kicks are pretty good. And if he can avoid the mat and avoid fatiguing, then it could be the right play. So yeah, I'm going to side with the underdog, the Brazilian Lucas Alexander, to potentially be the better trade in this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Daniel Pineda taking on Tucker Lutz, and this is going to be grappler versus grappler, a decent matchup. Now looking at Daniel Pineda, it's worth noting that he's 37 years old, which is not good at 145. Obviously, the higher up in the weight class you go, the older you can be. 37 years old at 145 is not great. And guys, when you go back and rewatch Daniel Pineda against Cub Swanson, he looked big. Like, look how much bigger he looks compared to Cub Swanson. And that's going to be a real indication of how much weight Daniel Pineda is cutting to make 145 at 37 years old. So I do believe the age of Daniel Pineda is not great. I believe he cuts a lot of weight, which is also not great. Regardless though, guys, looking at the jiu-jitsu of Daniel Pineda, the guy does seem to be a good grappler. You know, his jiu-jitsu work is very good. Now on the flip side, Tucker Lutz is also a grappler. Tucker's been wrestling from a young age. You know, wrestler versus jiu-jitsu player, grappler versus grappler. There's also a couple more points on Tucker Lutz that are going to be in his favour. You know, his calf kicks are very good. But then again, so is Daniel Pineda's. You know, he was smacking Cub Swanson with a nasty, powerful calf kick. So yeah, the grappling's good on both sides. The calf kicks are good on both sides. I think one of the main differences, though, could be the cardio. You know, Daniel Pineda's cutting a lot of weight. He's 37 years old. Past round 1, he might get tired. And if he gets tired, I can see Tucker Lutz, you know, maybe taking him to the mat or just landing more calf kicks. You know, looking at Tucker Lutz, round 1 and round 2 are pretty strong rounds. You know, his cardio seems to hold up pretty well in round 1, round 2. He did lose his most recent fight against Pat Sabatini, but Pat Sabatini's good. You know, he's got good cardio, he's a good wrestler. So I'm not going to hold that loss too much against Tucker Lutz. I think the prediction to make is going to be Tucker to win this matchup. You know, Tucker's 10 years younger than Daniel Pineda. And he's also a good grappler, so the grappling of Daniel may not be the difference. So that's going to be my pick. I'm going to side with Tucker Lutz to win this matchup. Hey guys, if you waited to smoke with me, it's an amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, it's a double amen. If you're not a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, you already know it's a triple amen, gang. Let's go. As always guys, if you want all the bets that I'm personally going to be making on this card, the only way to do that is to join the Patreon. And sometimes when people join the Patreon, they kinda are a little bit confused how to get into the Discord group. This is how you join the Discord. You click settings, and then you click apps, and then you can connect your Discord. And the Discord group's a good place where you can interact during the fights. You know, if you want a group where you can chop it up, the Discord group, the MoneyCity gang. Now guys, you can only see the settings tab if you're on the Patreon website. You cannot see it on the Patreon app. I don't know why that is, but yeah, so make sure you're on the Patreon website and you're going to see the settings tab. Guys, also follow my Instagram because I'm going to be doing some breakdown write-ups. I did one for Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje. I didn't get the prediction right, but I think the breakdown write-up was still pretty good. And guys, let me know what you're smoking on. And if you're not a smoker, let me know what you're drinking. What's your favourite drink? Alright, let's do it. Alright, moving into the next matchup, we've got Bang Bang Chidi Njokwani taking on Albert Duraev. And this is a really good matchup because the styles of both of these guys are very, very different, which gives us a good matchup. You know, on one side, we've got a very, very technical striker. We've got a great kicker. We've got a very good kickboxer. And on the other side, we've got a good grappler, a good wrestler. Now, the striker's going to be Chidi Njokwani, right? You can see with Chidi, his kicking ability is very, very good. And that's going to make him a very dangerous opponent to try to strike with, especially if you're not a striker. And Albert Duraev is not a striker. Now guys, on the flip side, Albert Duraev does want to get Chidi Njokwani to the mat. You know, he doesn't want to stand and strike too much. Guys, if I'm going to make a prediction based on who's been more impressive, I'm going to side with Chidi Njokwani. But if I'm going to make a prediction based on whose betting line I really want to be on, right, if I'm going to make a pick based off that, then my prediction's going to be the underdog at plus 160, Albert Duraev. You know, it's a good matchup. It's a good matchup. You look at what Chidi Njokwani's been doing in the UFC, right? It's been good. Even in his most recent fight, which he did lose to Robocop, Violent Obama. He lost that matchup, but in round 1, it looked pretty good. Now guys, on the flip side, you look at Duraev, and he's not been that impressive, like so far. And the reason for that is you look at his UFC debut against Roman Kopylov. You know, this one should have been straightforward. This should have been an easy contest, an easy performance. Then you look at Duraev against Buckley, where he essentially struggled to get the takedown and basically lost the fight because of that. Now I do want to say 5'9" Buckley, who's made of pure muscle with a low center of gravity, may be more difficult to get to the mat than Chidi Njokwani. You know, the body type of Chidi is very different to Buckley. Very, very different. And I think Roman Kopylov is also a combat sambo champion, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe there's a good case to make that Chidi Njokwani would be the easiest fighter that Duraev has competed against to get to the mat. You know, Chidi's got the long, skinny body type that's kind of easy to break the posture of. So, you know, if Duraev can get Chidi to the mat with little resistance, then he could cash as a nice underdog. You know, like I said, if I'm going to make a pick based on who's been more impressive, I'm going to side with Chidi. If I'm going to make a pick based on whose betting line is maybe the better risk to reward, I'm going to side with the underdog. My prediction with this matchup, I'm going to side with the Russian Albert Duraev to get Chidi to the mat. And once he gets him to the mat, I think he's going to go to work. My prediction is the underdog, Duraev, to win this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Alex Perez taking on Manuel Kape. I'm not going to overthink this matchup too much. You know, Alex Perez does seem to be a good boxer. But the thing with Alex Perez, when the fight is a big fight, like Joey Benavidez or Davison Figueiredo or Pantoja, when it's a big fight, Perez just gets dusted. And I would have to say that Manuel Kape is not an easy matchup. You know, Manuel Kape is sharp. Very, very sharp. Now, guys, Manuel Kape is not perfect. You know, he's not perfect and he does have a couple weaknesses, but I do believe his weaknesses have been improved. And one of the main weaknesses for Manuel Kape would be inactivity. You know, his output is not super good. But then again, you do have to kind of realize that the reason for that would be he's really looking to be the counter striker. You know, he's looking to pick his shots. You know, sometimes it's better to have quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? You do want to show the judges that you're working. You do want to do that. But also you want to show the judges that your strikes are just so different when you find the target. You know, and that's quality. And Manuel Kape really does have that. You know, when he finds the target, when he counters the opponent, you can see the difference. He's really sharp. So like I said, guys, I'm not going to overthink this matchup too much. I believe Manuel Kape is very sharp. And I believe Alex Perez just kind of drops the ball when the fight's a big fight. And I would consider this matchup a big fight for Alex Perez. And I think Manuel Kape's going to probably find a TKO. So my prediction's going to be Manuel Kape to find a stoppage. Probably round 1, round 2. Moving into a matchup between Andrea Lee taking on Maycee Barber. This is a good matchup. Now guys, when you take a look at KGB Lee's credentials, she's a 3-time Muay Thai champion. She's a Golden Glove boxing champion, a brown belt in judo, a brown belt in BJJ. KGB's good. And I know when you look at her UFC record, you know, you see 5 wins and 4 losses, but I think she's better than her UFC record is suggesting. You know, you can go back and rewatch her fight against Joanne Wood. You can go back and rewatch her fight against Lauren Murphy. These are 2 fights that she could have won. You know, these are split decision losses and they could have gone the way of Lee. And you look at her most recent fight against Vivi, she was very close to getting a TKO stoppage in round 1. So guys, if KGB Lee got the nod in both of those split decisions, and if KGB got the round 1 stoppage against Vivi, her UFC record would be 8-1. It would be very different. Now, I think one of the main weaknesses for Andrea Lee would be maybe her cardio's not great and her physicality's not too good either. Like, don't get me wrong, when you put her in the clinch, she's going to go to work. You know, she's going to show you some Muay Thai in the clinch. But when you look at the physicality of Andrea Lee, you know, she can kind of be muscled. You know, she can kind of be bullied a little bit. And in all fairness, Maycee Barber is a bully. You know, this girl is very strong, you know, very physical. And that's really what I see Maycee Barber as. You know, I don't see Maycee Barber as like a super good boxer or a super good kicker. I really see Maycee Barber as the type of fighter that's going to push you against the fence, you know, look for a lot of control, or even take you to the mat and just go for ground and pound on top. You know, that's really what Maycee Barber's all about. You know, you look at a couple fights where she fought Alexa Grasso. She got boxed. Against Miranda Maverick, this was clearly a robbery. A very, very clear robbery. She lost that fight. You know, she was out-competed. Guys, I do believe skill for skill, Andrea Lee is better than Maycee Barber. But Maycee Barber's strengths could play into the weaknesses of Andrea Lee. And like I said, the weakness of Lee is her cardio's not great and she can kind of be bullied a little bit. And that's really what Maycee is. She's a bully. Guys, you know what? I've never picked against KGB Lee. I've not done it. And so far that's worked 5 times out of 9. I'm a fan of Andrea Lee. Kinda reminds me of Sandy from SpongeBob. You know what? I'll take the big underdog. I'm gonna take KGB Lee. I think the betting line is slightly off. Maybe Maycee Barber's got more chance, but you know, Lee over plus 200. I'll go with it. Moving into the next matchup, we've got Nate the Train taking on Austin Lingo, and I really want Nate to win just for the post-fight speech. You know, when Nate gets onto the mic, it's entertaining. It's very entertaining, and that's really why I want Nate to win this matchup. And to be honest, guys, I think he does. I think he wins this fight. Now, guys, originally Austin Lingo was supposed to fight Ricardo Ramos, and that was kind of close to a mismatch. I do believe that a matchup against Nate Landwehr is probably a better matchup than Ricardo Ramos, and that's really for like simple reasons, because Ricardo Ramos is, you know, technical, good jiu-jitsu, whereas Nate the Train is just a madman. And with that type of mixed martial artist, you're gonna have opportunities to land your shots, to land your strikes. So Austin Lingo's gonna get the opportunity to land his best shot, but I think Nate the Train is just, this guy's a dog, a real dog. And I do believe the style of Nate Landwehr is going to be good enough against Austin Lingo. And you also see there's a big experience difference. You know, Nate Landwehr's got 20 professional fights, whereas Austin Lingo's got 10. So there's a big experience difference. And to be honest, I'm not that high on Austin Lingo. I'm not super high on Nate the Train, but in a matchup between these two, you gotta go Nate the Train. So yeah, that's gotta be my prediction. Guys, remember his comeback against David Onama? Madman. Alright guys, moving into the co-main event between Holm taking on Yana Santos. Now guys, there's only one fight on this card that I've not done tape on, and this is it. I've got no interest in betting this co-main event, and to be honest, it's a little bit of a disgrace that this is the co-main event to such a good main event. Like guys, don't get me wrong, what Holm has done for women's mixed martial arts, it does need to be respected, and I do respect it. But yeah guys, I've really got no interest in really watching this co-main event, and I've got no interest in betting it. But for making a prediction and giving a breakdown, you know, Holm should be better than Yana Santos. You know, in terms of boxing, in terms of kicking, in terms of experience, Holm should be skill for skill better than Yana Santos. And guys, please don't forget, Yana Santos got dropped by Aspinlad. You know, let's speak about red flags. That's a red flag. That is a massive red flag. Would Holly get dropped by Aspinlad? Probably not. And that's really all I've got to say with this co-main event. My pick is the Preacher's Daughter. Alright, moving into this great main event, we've got Marlon Vera taking on Cory Sandhagen. This is a great main event. Now first guys, we want to speak about Cory Sandhagen. The technicality of Cory, the striking ability is super good. Guys, I was at Cory Sandhagen's UFC debut a few years ago in North Carolina. I had no idea who Cory Sandhagen was, and he was the first fight of the night. I had no idea, but when he started ripping to the body of Austin Arnett, boy did I pay attention. And at that very moment where Cory's ripping to the body of Austin Arnett, instantly I'm like, okay, who is Cory Sandhagen? This guy's good. You know, and he's really showed us that. He showed his footwork is kind of like Dominic Cruz. Now one of the weaknesses for Cory would be maybe his defensive grappling's not the best. You know, you see against Aljamain Sterling taken to the mat. And when he gets taken to the mat, it's an early night. A good win for Aljamain Sterling. But yeah, looking at Cory on the feet, this guy is good. You know, the footwork, the way he's setting traps, the unpredictability. It's all good work. Now on the flip side, Marlon Vera. We're all a fan of Chito. This guy's great. You know, when Chito first entered the UFC, he had a really limited skill set, you know, just a jiu-jitsu player. But you look at him now, you know, the way the striking has evolved. He's really a killer. And that's really how Marlon Vera's got himself to a main event against Cory Sandhagen. You know, Marlon Vera is a real problem at 135. Now guys, I mentioned the weakness for Cory is maybe his defensive grappling. I believe the weakness for Marlon Vera is he's really a slow starter. You know, typically Marlon Vera does find himself behind on the scorecard, and that could be a real problem against such a technician like Cory Sandhagen. Now guys, if Cory's going to show so many different techniques on the feet, I'm going to assume that round 1 and round 2 are going to be rounds for Cory. And let's assume that Vera is going to be down 2 rounds like he normally is. It's going to be deja vu for Marlon Vera. You know, Marlon Vera is really good at bringing himself back into a matchup, but Cory's so good that this time round I do believe it's going to be more difficult. But taking a look at the advantages, I believe Cory is more technical. I believe Cory's a better kicker. I believe Cory's got more fakes and feints, you know, more ways to set up his attacks. And I also believe that it's a big advantage if Cory wins the first 2 rounds. So based on all of these reasons, I'm gonna go against Marlon Vera, and I've not done that in a long while. I think the last time I went against Marlon Vera was against Sean O'Malley, which was like 3 years ago. So yeah, Marlon's been putting money in my pocket, but so has Cory. You know, these are two great bantamweights. Guys, for me personally, I'm going to be siding with Cory in this main event. And I think more than likely it would go 25 minutes. You know, considering Vera's never been stopped. But yeah, guys, let me know. Are you going to take Cory? Are you going to take Cheeto? It's going to be a great main event. Alright, guys, as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. That's Mac Miller. Alright, peace.